Hi guys, my name is Borodante, and I can totally pull off wearing this cap backwards. Shut up. It may be okay, it may be horrible. I feel really dumb. Welcome back to Overpaint, Review Edition, which means I go through a lot of your guys' submissions on my Patreon page, one after another, and sharing some thoughts, reacting, and giving some advice. First patient, Nigel04. Hi Borodante. Hello, I have been following you for 2-3 years and you are my favorite artist. That's a lie, I mean thank you. Your tutorials and overpaint episodes are my best on YouTube and helps a lot. Whatever, this painting has no meaning on consciousness level. It is only what you see. Oh, I used to paint a lot of stuff like that. It's actually very interesting. You kind of start with just painting objects, characters the way you just want them to be for some reason. And then as you paint and work on details for a while, it sort of all comes together and starts making sense. And you come up with a meaning to it that you wouldn't even think of before. That's like a self-improvement thing in a way. Really cool. I did my best on this painting and I still see mistakes actually, but this painting's time has run out. You're very romantic. I hope I can see the day you overpainted this. Alright, let's see. Yeah, this. Since the moon is from the back of our character, I would say this cloud should have this shadow going on, because it's sticking out and this is literally the dark side of it that is not facing the moon. And we actually need that, not just for the physical correctness, but because we want this shape of the character to stand out from the background. And in here, it really blends all together. You can't really see the character well. And yeah, I think this is something we need to decide on here. That's the main thing. I would say generally the composition is fine. Things are positioned pretty well on the canvas, I would say. Like the moon having this super perfectly half of it cut. Not half, less than half, but the positioning of the moon is kind of weird. It was probably put there somewhat intentionally, but I'm probably gonna change that. And generally, I think I will make the character darker. I'm not sure if that's okay. Feels like it was going for more of a mysterious look, but it was somewhat toned down because of a lack of confidence in lighting, so everything is somewhat lit well always. So let's go a bit more ballsy with the lighting. I notice I always go, like if this is a one character painting, there can be two ways it can go. Either it's a well-lit character, then the background needs to be somewhat darker, so the character would be visible well, or it's a mysterious shot in the nighttime, then the character will be dark, and then the background needs to have something brighter than the character, so we could see the outline. And usually, like, the easiest way to do it, if I'm not sure if it's okay to change a lot about the image overall, is just adding some sort of fog, mist, or clouds in the back, so I'll add more of those. Those are some intense boobs, almost like mine. Yeah, let's not zoom in for a while. I don't think I should be doing that at all in this genre of overpaint. And that's the way pretty much everyone should paint like 90% of the painting. Only in the end you zoom in because there's just no way you can be precise enough to go with smaller details. But before that, when it's like big decisions, never zoom in. Actually make sure you see the whole picture. Anyway, I'm just gonna quickly draft things in. So there should be a decent layer of this cloud whatever in the back, I would say, for what I'm going for. Oh yes, giving it some really dramatic feel. Like this character could actually use that quite a lot. I haven't done a lot of research on like angel-like creatures lately. I used to paint these a lot, but not anymore, so I don't have fresh memories or a fresh look at it. But as far as I remember, the wings look cooler when you have this like extra angle in here before it goes there. So I'm adding this curvature right here. When it was just straight, it's a bit like a lame angel from a kid's Bible kind of look, which is not really what most of us are going for. You want to make it look more like, you know, that dude with big white wings from X-Men. I feel like some glow would be really cool in here, making him a lot more dreamy. The nose should probably catch some of that really bright rim light, right? It's sticking out the most, even if the rest of the face could miss on that. Oh wow, this aerial perspective or whatever, just convenient glow I made in the back, it's really selling the character, the picture, I don't know, looking kinda cool. I feel like this shape should be a bit more like showing some kind of physics of whatever it is, so it wouldn't just look like a dress. I think this is something I made it look like. Yeah, before it was a lot more different, and right now I really made it blend into the torso as if this is some kind of dress. So let's change that. Okay, there we go. Before, after. I mean, I don't even know. It's such a huge difference. I hope it went the direction it should have gone. You never really know with this kind of painting if it's not yours. But yeah, I think I made some changes on anatomy, or really on like positioning the geometry of that anatomy, but not too much. Obviously, I went really drafty, so it's not really noticeable or anything. So it was interesting how in this image, the concept was sort of, well, not vague, but it didn't have a lot of specific details. So we ended up looking at a lot of this, you know, uniform detail that's like, I'm not sure where it's going. I guess I should make it work like this, whatever. And by just making the lighting more expressive and more following the environment and the mood and the mysterious nature of this character, we ended up not even having the need to work on these details because they're just in the dark. And I don't think anyone's missing them because they didn't mean anything. We can still see that this is like clouds forming this character or whatever. If it's a bit still too, you know, sharp of a shape, we can make it even more fuzzy or something. So we can play around with the shape all we want now. And it's a lot easier because it's just a dark silhouette. And I guess I'll make it a bit darker closer to the bottom, so we would have a gradient. Gradients are great, gradients are awesome. You should always look for gradients. All right, the final before and after. Next patient. Wikank. Wow, that's really cool. Hey Boro. Hey Wikank. My friend recommended your channel to me back in 2017, and I've learned a lot just by watching your videos, especially about lighting and shading and textures. Thank you, look out for a lot more of that because that's all I know. This piece is something I painted in April when I got back into Fire Emblem Fates. Okay, so this is fan art, I guess? Oh my. It's fan art of Laszlo and Xander from that game, and I tried to emulate the texture of oil paint and tried to make it look like those portraits of 17th century kings. Yeah, well, it looks very much like that. I also remember trying to get the shadows to work, but somehow the whole painting still doesn't have depth, and at this point I'm just frustrated by it. I can't really see any issues about this in terms of like drawing. Well, maybe hands are very struggled in, so we could work on those a bit. But overall, I really feel like the lighting is working in some places. I can feel like the lighting is soft and going somewhat from like over there, but like I can't almost at all see that on the face and on this guy. So in some places it's defined and in other places it's kind of vague, and I think because of that the image becomes flat. Also, this thing, it's just, there's nothing wrong in its positioning. It's just that it's all shaded like it's, like, you know, if this is a painting hanging on the wall and someone just pinned this kind of golden chain on top of the painting. So I'm gonna give it a try with changing that. I feel like it may be also because the chain doesn't react to the mantle over here. It's just hanging downwards like that. It feels a bit off. And these things right here, the some kind of connections, whatever, they're all not really in 3 dimensions. Like in here it would be at this kind of angle or something, but it's not. It's like just on the canvas. So let's go ahead and change the things I mentioned and then work on the lighting as we usually do. Okay, now I want to add some space for the hand. It's too close to the edge of the canvas. At least like that, I don't know. I don't know, some basic shapes of a clothing right here, playing with the lighting as well. So I'm checking for that direction. If it's visible to the light source on that side, I'm making it lighter, but everything else is pretty much black, as it usually went in those 17th century portraits or whatever. So I literally created an overlay layer and just painting with very light gray and very dark gray whenever I need to make the overall object lighter or darker. Just so there's so much details in here, I can just quickly make all of them lighter without ruining the details. Yeah, maybe actual overlay will do better. I was using soft light. The nose, it should be brighter. Why wouldn't it? I do appreciate a somewhat appropriate shadows from this golden thing, by the way. They're not very accurate though, maybe because of the aforementioned frustration from the artwork, so I'm just making it a bit more careful. That's the thing also, by the way, you sort of learn with time where you need to spend a lot of energy and precision and where it doesn't really matter. Contact shadows are one of those places where you really want to pay attention and be very precise, because it's a very small little detail, but it's really important. Like exactly where this golden thing is touching the robe, it's gonna be like a dark shadow, but the exact shape of it, we need to solve it. And the rest, like, doesn't matter. Who knows at all what the shadow will be, and it's not even noticeable. In here, another one, right? So it's also really close, and it will probably go like this, so we can see the light going from over there behind the golden thing. And yeah, maybe a bit darker as well. I'm not sure about making it so dark of a contact shadow though. I did it really dark. On such a white fur, it usually doesn't go that dark at all, so maybe I'll lighten it up a bit. But the precision is definitely a thing. Is that a double signature? Wow, I've never seen that before. I think one would be enough. Also, I'm just working on some reflections. By the way, an interesting moment in here, it would be interesting to come up with like what is the color of the carpet on the floor next to this king. Should we go with red? I guess it would be red. It could be green. I don't know. I don't want to go too colorful because I always tend to use like all the colors and the whole picture ends up looking, well, I'm still going with green as I'm saying this. Things end up looking like some kind of childish whatever. So yeah, anyway, we're adding the reflection of the floor on the shiny armor. It actually brings an interesting thing, like if you really go with a certain detail that is reflected in the armor, it starts really looking like a thing, that this is a real reflection. It's actually bringing extra detail that we otherwise wouldn't see at all. Of course, it's not just about the lighting in here, it's also like the brushwork is very, very messy, like these drafty spots everywhere. It feels like it's one of those brushes that I hate, you know, when you make a spot. Let me choose one of those in here, artist's oils. Like you make a spot, it's a colorful spot, and then it completely runs out. Well, not necessarily that physically impressive as it is in Painter, but you know, the point is that you can't really, no matter how slightly I press, it will always be a super opaque stroke at the beginning, which is like, how do you add details a little bit, for instance, when you're shading stuff? And with just a normal round brush, you can start a stroke very transparently and therefore not have this kind of messy look. I feel like this is what it is, like it's because of that kind of brush that's been used. Like when you use that kind of brush, as a traditional artist would also have to do, is that if you're adding like a brush stroke, I need to blend things together, you need to specifically pick, you know, the color that you need, because it's gonna be a very opaque stroke there. But I recommend using a brush that just doesn't do it like that. I get the whole painterly effect, but that's a bit too much. You can achieve it without that behavior of the brush. It's not exactly necessary, I think. So what color is his hair? I'm not sure. Is it kind of blue or just gray and in blue ambience? Maybe that. Anyway, something like this for the time I have. I introduced a lot more definition to the lighting on the faces, on the hair, on the clothing, on this mantle of the king. And I think the golden thing fits a bit more into the picture, mostly because of this little curvature I introduced and more specific lighting. You see in here it's like all even distance of the shadow from the actual chain, which is weird because as far as I can see, the plane of this mantle is kind of getting closer in here. There was like another step right here and then it's getting closer. So the shadow should literally follow this path and then go away. Maybe I didn't actually do it exactly like that. No, I actually kind of did. So yeah, these two contact shadows really sold the presence of this chain, then an actual variety in shininess. So in here I have a lot of shine in here, and some of the stuff in here and here, a little bit in here. So everything that is kind of looking at that light source. So it's introducing this really bright shine. Everything that's starting looking over there is already not really catching it that much. And the stuff going downwards is really getting darker, yet still giving us some interesting golden shine. So yeah, I changed the hands a bit. Mostly it's about shading on them really, but also difference in sizes of fingers and introducing the rest of the fingers right here. I know it's not really precise, and here it's kind of broken, I guess, but you get the point, I hope. Some reflections, some more of a global lighting, meaning this robe at the bottom is getting actually gradually darker. And instead of having this flat part with a lot of fur that doesn't mean anything for a pretty big part of the picture, and it was even bigger in the original, instead of that, I'm actually introducing some gradient. It's very dirty right now. It shouldn't be like that, obviously, but again, you get the point. But yeah, the face, you look at the face first of all, and the face is really like not reacting to the lighting that much. And when we actually have this light hitting the face right here, it immediately looks a lot more interesting and appropriate. I think we also need to add a little bit of, oh yeah, cool. Next patient. Man, I'm really slow on this one. I guess it's gonna be just 3 artworks today. Oh wow, what is this? Key on S. I hope that's not something inappropriate. Live in concerts. Okay, cool, so this is like a little ad for a performance by an owl. Hi Borrow. Hello, Key on S. It's something inappropriate, isn't it? I've been watching your videos for a while now and I've learned a lot from them. Since I'm working on artworks for a portfolio to apply for a studying design right now, I thought I'd invest in a bit of advice from one of my favorite artists. Thanks, let's see what we can do. I've made this poster for my school's big band concert. I've tried adding color variations everywhere because I love seeing that in paintings. Oh, I see, color abstraction, like changing hue everywhere. That's a cool thing. While I think it works pretty well in some places, it currently looks really weird in others. So if you have any advice on how to make these variations work and how to pick and change the colors, that would be great. Since you don't usually add color variations to your paintings, at least not actively, I think. I'm not sure how much advice you can give there, but I'm sure you'll find some other fun mistakes to fix. Yeah, I actually had a period on this channel when I was really into color abstraction. I made several tutorials about it and it was introduced in some of the artwork. But yeah, lately I'm not hugely into it, so we'll see if I still got it. This is such a cool owl. I have one friend that I immediately think of him when I'm looking at this owl. Okay, first little thing I just have to, this hole, it should be like over here. You know, the gradient shouldn't be all over it. It should be really squished in here and very stretched in here because of the angle. That's how you turn this kind of shape in 3 dimensions. Yeah, you see, this is a drawing on this flat surface, and here I actually squished it inwards. Alright, the next little thing I feel unpleasant about is how we're sort of losing the edge of the owl in this part. I can get that there's like a reflection of the background due to the Fresnel effect on the head, but these colors are just so close in value that we're sort of losing the edge of the character. So let's see how we can reinforce it. We can either introduce some brighter spots over there, somewhat like this. Also, I'm kind of feeling like darkening the shaded part of the owl. I feel like the casual flat lighting is very modern or something, and it doesn't really fit an owl in a tuxedo or a suit, whatever, playing an instrument like that. By the way, is this a saxophone or probably not one of those other things? I'm gonna call it a saxophone. I'm a painter, not a musician. But yeah, I feel like really having a dark shadow in here would bring that a bit of a more of a classy, more of an old school type of rendering, and also bring a bit more of this moody feeling, you know? He's playing jazz or blues? Is there something like that mentioned on this? I'm gonna assume some moodiness in the rendering for the owl would make sense. In fact, maybe I don't know, I'm not solving any issues here, I'm introducing new ones, but I just immediately felt like a Broadway kind of mood in here. And I'm just forcing it on this picture. No one asked me to do this, but I'm gonna do it anyway. Oh, thank God, I think it's kind of working out. Oh, it's so funny looking. Where is the mouth? Where is the hole where the saxophone is coming in? I don't know, but it's just looking really cute. Honestly, this darker part of the suit, I can't even see it very well because I can see only reflection of my own face, but it actually makes sense to sort of completely lose all of the details of the suit in this area and literally shape it into that color abstraction as just one shape. This is the situation where it can actually work out really well. So if the suit is darker on that bottom left side, I can't see a reason why this wing right here wouldn't do the same thing, so let's work with that. So yeah, with color abstractions, I remember I usually came up with some kind of like a rule for how things should go. Let's say all the objects at their upper side should sort of reflect or something, introduced like a magenta color. So I'm gonna add a little bit of that in here for everything. I'm not sure if that's exactly gonna work out, but let's say we'll introduce also like this kind of cyan darker thing wherever there's strong shadows. Maybe, I don't know if this is gonna work out at all. When you work with a color abstraction, you really should work a lot with the brushwork. It's all about the brushwork. It's the design of your strokes that is making the thing look interesting. Without interesting brushwork, there's no point. It's only gonna make things look worse. And also, I really can't see anything on the darker side. I find color abstraction a good tool to introduce certain illusions to the image. Like, is this some kind of aerial perspective that is appearing behind the wing? Maybe. Does it make sense? No, but it's abstraction, you know? It's just looking cool and you like seeing it. Everyone's happy. That's one of the things where each artist needs to come up with something that works just their way. And, you know, there are no rules for it. It's just about what looks awesome. And you just need to come up with your own thing for what works better. I like blending in this magenta and cyan mix. Not necessarily forget about the thing about everything from the top being cyan. Maybe it's just about having this dance of cyan and magenta colors. Again, it's up to you what you want from the color abstraction. Okay, I'm just trying a separate layer in colorize mode, whatever color mode is pretty much the same thing, and just seeing what I can do. Because the best way to work with the abstraction like this is when you only change color, but not touching value or anything else. Well, you can touch saturation as well, obviously. What I usually see in color abstraction is kind of like an illusion of reflection, really, most of the time. It sort of looks like for some reason the head of this owl is just reflecting something amazing, and you don't know why, you have no explanation for it, but it just looks very pleasing. So I actually decided to go full opacity on the layer with this colorful mess and merge it together. Yeah, never finish your artwork in separate layers. You always need to merge everything together and see what you can do. What I also like doing, memories are coming back. When you make a base of certain colors, then you choose like really crazy, really saturated version of them. Like take a color like that and introduce some strokes that are really strong, really saturated, but a little bit here and there, some outlines, some kind of vague things showing up. That's where it starts really working awesomely. And you see, like, always this interesting brushwork, creating some kind of sharp angles. So I cut away from this bright spot to make it look triangular or something. So I'm making this geometrical dance in this case. If I would have a different kind of brush that would introduce some kind of bristles, maybe I would do something else with it. I don't know. I like triangles. By the way, I wonder if introduction of this higher contrast that I did before actually allowed me to work much better with the color abstraction, because it feels like when the image is really flat and the shadows are really light, it's kind of hard to introduce any kind of color abstraction because the image is very tight, not changing a lot. And how do you introduce color abstraction to that, you know? So by making these shadows really dark, maybe I helped it actually work better. Also, yeah, it should be everywhere. So the saxophone should also have color abstraction. Otherwise, it's really weird that it's not having any of it. Alright, this is it. This is what we got. I think it's really cool. It made the picture very different. I understand that. But that's what you get when you're introducing more color abstraction. We could tone it down a lot, obviously. I think all the changes I did, we can literally just, you know, overlay them a little bit. Everything I changed, just stronger shadows, stronger rim lighting on the right side, and color abstraction. All of this can be just blended in to any stage. This is really extreme. It's looking cool, I guess, for its own thing, but it's a different style. It's really jazzy bluesy, I guess. But I miss the character of this owl when it's just square like that. And this one is too sexy for me, I don't know. Maybe tone it down a bit. And that's about enough. So yeah guys, this is it. These are the 3 artworks we worked on today. Actually ended up working through all of them. This is not exactly what I'm supposed to do in this type of overpaint, but yeah, I think that was fun. Tell me guys what you think about the result. If any of you guys want me to overpaint your picture like this or in a separate exclusive overpaint, the link to my Patreon page is in the end of this video. You become my patron, submit the picture in the community feed. And also, I thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye! Such an interesting set of submissions this time. They're all very different, and they had pretty different solutions to them as well. I like my job.